theories now. I've got some theories. I've posted some crazy stuff I read on Reddit. I don't know. Before I go into what I have down, what do you think happened, Joe?
So I feel like based on what I'm seeing, and I've been taking like screenshots as I'm going through like Google Earth because I got it in 3D mode and I'm looking at this mountain. If she ran into issues while hiking, it definitely happened in the last mile or so. Yeah. Because it's fairly navigable, and I'm not going to say flat, but I mean it's following rivers. It's just very easy trail, but then it like when you're going up to Heedle Pass, it starts getting very steep. You're starting to do your zigzags to get up the side of the mountain. Yeah. When you get up into Vesper Lake, you're getting into, glaciated snow and things like that. I feel like if there was some sort of accident, it would have happened between her time in Vesper Lake and Vesper Peak and back again. Mm-hmm. It's very small in regards to the whole hike, but I'm just looking at a lot of sheer faces, a lot of snow, a lot of ice. Like we said in the beginning, this is like the state of crevasses. My major theory would be some sort of
she
fall,
fell some at the peak.
But not like, I was looking over an edge, like stepped in some snow and it was a crevasse or something, or misstep. I don't know. Yeah. I would like to, who was the listener that recommended the show?
Elizabeth Barney.
I would love to get from Elizabeth like what the crevasse danger is and what avalanche danger is here, because definitely when you said on the north side of the peak, when I'm looking at this, it's definitely like avalanche chute right down the side. Which the hiking trail doesn't go through there. Yeah. But if you have loose snow, and this is obviously a satellite image, not from when she was up there could have been more, there could have been less. Yeah. I feel it has to be completely ice snowfall related. Okay. Like I just don't see it being, and the fact they can't find her because it's not super, it's lots of open sheer rock faces.
Most of the trail you wouldn't get lost on.
I'm like 90% certain I can actually see people on this image. Like, cause I'm looking at rocks and stuff, and there's two figures that are right where the trail would be on the snow. Yeah. That like when the satellite image was taken, like you can see it very clear. Yeah. That it might be like two backpackers hiking up. So like I said, how easily I can see the trail from these satellite images and other features flying over this. Like it'd be very, very visible. Yeah.
Well, even Elizabeth mentioned that if she had fallen, you would assume that you'd see her gear kind of strewed out because it's a big granite slab. Yeah. And the fact that they didn't find anything like that, I don't think that means you can rule out a fall. I think, perhaps she fell somehow near the peak or at the peak and somehow fell into that area by the glacier where it's just impossible to search. Yeah. And they'll never find the...
Look at this. I was going to show this. I'm not crazy. So there's the peak. Yeah. And I'll put this up on the video. When you're zooming in, here's the line. Look, you can kind of see the line in the snow even. Yeah. Right here. That is like definitely two people with their shadows. Yeah. Look at that. That is a guy. That's another guy. Yeah. With the shadow being cast. Like, this is images from space. Yeah. So like a helicopter flying over or whatever they're using FLIR. Yeah. Like
on snow.
So all I'm thinking is she's below the surface. Yeah. And where's that going to happen? In these snow fields or at Vesper Lake, potentially. Mm-hmm. That's where I would love to talk to her to get a bigger idea of like, hey, is Vesper Lake actually a frozen surface and it's a deep lake underneath that just never thaws? Like,
it'd be great to try to get Sergeant Adams on a call to talk to him about the search, because I couldn't find an official police report, but Sergeant Adams kind of made a statement about what he thought happened. He still thinks Sam is somewhere on the mountain, not far from where she was last seen. He points to the moats off the north side of the peak where the steep bottom of the cliff meets the glacier. And that's where we keep talking about if she fell into there, there's no way they would find her because they're not going to, it's so dangerous. They're not going to put searchers at risk to go down in there. And you would be covered by, snow melt, it's going to fluctuate and she could be under the glacier. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's right. That's the whole north side. That's just sheer drop off. And then that's that chute that like You can see it has runoff through there. I'm going to snap this picture too.
I think if that's the theory, I think for me, that is one of the main theories. I think what happened to her, I'm ruling out animal attack.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely not animal. So do you think she like slipped? If you're going with that theory, do you feel like she was at the peak and somehow lost footing?
That would have to be my guess, just based on the description of the hike up. There's really nowhere. I mean, that's not to say she couldn't have fallen and got injured on the way up, but she would have been found.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm thinking of is she was up on the peak. If she had fallen, there must have been no one up there with her at the moment, because if she had fallen, someone would have seen that and reported it. No one reported seeing her at the peak or seeing her fall. So that's one theory. The family and friends, think she got lost or injured, and some still think she's alive. Now, getting into some of the crazy internet theories.
Real quick, this is 2018.
Yes. August 2018.
Okay, so this satellite image is from 7/24 of 2018.
Okay,
so this is
a week or two before.
Yeah, so this is actually very accurate to what it was like when she was there. So all the images we'll post on Facebook and will be in the video are
Elizabeth
very accurate
actually
representation of what it looked like when she disappeared.
She actually emailed us pictures of the trail up.
Okay,
I'll send those to you, Joe.
Yeah, we'll do a Facebook portfolio of all these, and then I'll have them pop up in the video as we're talking too.
So some of the
even the image of what I think are people.
Yeah,
it's right on the trail.
So yeah, I think my main theory is that she experienced some kind of fall near the peak or at the peak that caused her to fall into one of those moats that Sergeant Adams talked about, and she'll never be found because of the location she fell in. Some of the opinions online, I don't know, I just mention these just to kind of
because they're there,
weird theories out there. Yeah. So, one woman online said her brother-in-law could have abducted Sam given a coincidentally timed vacation. The woman had borrowed his vehicle once, and even though it was very clean, it smelled of semen and dead bodies. Sorry to be crass.
That was a Reddit user?
Well, this was related to
a brother-in-law?
This was related to a police officer who took the report down. So this was like an official statement that someone made to law enforcement.
Wow. It's either true or she really doesn't like her brother-in-law.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, that's true. So take these with a grain of salt. These are things I found online. Another Reddit user is convinced that Kevin is involved. So he stated that his whole story of the events after she didn't check in at 6 p.m. seemed fishy to him. Now, I don't put a lot of weight on Reddit theories. We've said this a million times, but when I was thinking about what he was saying, kind of made sense to me. So he's like an hour and a half away from where she was hiking.
And well, he was at work, so he's got an alibi at least during the time where she was hiking.
Well, from what I read, he couldn't go hiking because of something with work. I don't know if he was at work or not.
You would assume that they would have checked that out.
But, keep going. So, the theory that the Redditor had was that it seemed fishy that he so quickly left to go straight up to Vesper Peak to go looking for her, literally maybe an hour after she didn't check in. What if, she lost her phone and was just on the drive home and she was just going to be late, or maybe she stopped to visit with some friends, or, who knows what happened. Joe, if you were with your wife and she went out hiking on a solo hike and she was supposed to check in at 6:00 and you were like 2 hours away and it's like 7, would you suddenly freak out and drive 2 hours to go look for her with no gear and a flashlight? Or would you just wait a few hours to see if she shows up?
I'm trying to be 100% honest. I don't know.
Yeah.
Honestly, and here's the deal. I'm thinking of it from my perspective.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of hiking alone in general.
I don't either.
I wouldn't let her go by herself. Not because she's a woman or whatever. I wouldn't go hiking by myself on this trip.
Yeah.
All right. So if I'm we live out there, there's hundreds of hikes. We do it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like put myself in their shoes. If I were that way and still kind of the person I am where I'm very vigilant about itineraries, checking in, things like that.
Yeah.
I would probably have started heading that way, but the first thing I would have done is called the authorities in that area and said,
right,
she's supposed to check in. Here's her itinerary. This is what they're doing. I'm leaving to come up there.
Yeah.
But I would be like, hey, my girlfriend or my wife, we're very vigilant about this. This is abnormal for us. Not, this happens all the time. We are very vigilant about this, the thing that we do, and she's not doing it.
And would you go unprepared? You would bring a hiking bag.
I would, I would take the 20 minutes to grab the emergency gear.
Throw a headlamp in.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah,
so now here's the deal. I think that I have a lot of emergency training. I'm really calm in these types of situations.
Yeah.
Maybe he has high anxiety.
Yeah.
Maybe there's people that panic at the smallest things.
Yep.
So if he is kind of panicking, when there's people that are going through something like that, they don't make good decisions. So, I mean, we're like, Monday morning quarterback in this thing.
I know.
So I'm just trying to think rationally, like, I'm not the type of person I would be freaking out, but I'd be still collected enough to be like, okay, if I'm going out there, I need X, Y, Z so that I also don't get hurt.
Yeah.
If I'm somebody that's prone to anxiety or panic, I might just start driving and be like, I'll grab stuff on the way.
Yeah.
I'm not, what I'm trying to get at is I don't think there's anything that he did at this point that would freak me out.
Yeah. I mean, I was just saying that it just seemed kind of odd to immediately go looking with no gear and not calling anyone, law enforcement. I mean, we have to fully assume that law enforcement fully vetted him and he was not a suspect in the case. I mean, she did sign the trail register, so I'm sure they probably looked at her signature to verify that it was matching other signatures of hers. Like you could think like,
was her car there?
Yeah,
still
her car was there. People saw her on the trail.
Well, I'm almost thinking like, okay, maybe she came out and if I'm thinking,
happened.
like if I'm gonna like go down, okay, let's see if it's possible for the boyfriend to have been involved.
Yeah.
She did check in. He drove up there, met her at the trailhead, and did something, and then disposed of the body, and then blamed it on that.
Yeah.
I think that's a possibility. I would wonder what the motive would be.
Yeah.
Or for friends were like, his boyfriend was abusing her, or there's no red flags from anything that anybody said.
Yeah, there was no indication that anything like that was going on. So I just mentioned this because it did seem a little strange, at least what I would have done. But that was just one of the theories that I found on the internet. And to kind of close the episode, I was going to give read a little bit of what our local listener Elizabeth said about this case. And she wrote us and said, now on the summit, there are a few places that are basically a sheer drop off. If you lost your footing, it would be game over, but people saw her on the peak. And I believe someone reported seeing her on the way down. But even if she did fall off the peak somewhere and her body was hidden among the granite, wouldn't her stuff have been thrown during the fall and landed on the rocks? Wouldn't some of it been visible to the helicopters or rock climbers who belayed down in every direction off that peak? She goes on to say, I guess there's always the possibility of foul play, but my only other guess would be that instead of traversing the upper talus field, she went down it and got lost. But like I said, it would be just hard to get very far before you realize you weren't in the right place, especially if you've been there before. She also went on to say, I also think the weather was pretty good that time of year. So if she did get lost, she would have been able to hunker down for a few days and, was reported missing, I think, that night when she didn't return home. So, Elizabeth said the weather was good. Sam was very experienced. She probably could have survived a few nights in that area. She had a couple sandwiches and some snacks, and there's lakes and streams there that she could have had water. I don't know. I think the two theories I'm going with are, one, she had some kind of accident at the peak and fell, and it is possible that if there were other people on the peak looking the other direction, people could fall and not make a sound. I mean, that's possible. She slipped and went right over. It happens so fast. They look back over, she's not there. Maybe they just assume she started walking back down. That's possible.
Yeah. I think I agree with you. It's possible. I think highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely. I think my second theory is she did make it back down and something happened to her in the parking lot. Not saying that her boyfriend was involved.
Yeah, like maybe it was later
somebody
at night.
Snatched her up. It was later in the evening. Like we said, that's a pretty remote and rugged area. If there's somebody that, a predator in the area, they could have snatched her up. I mean, she was only 125 pounds. It's possible. I didn't see anything in the police reports about a struggle in the parking lot. Like, I think if you could tell if like maybe there were like drag marks from feet or like some kind of like scuffle ensued.
Yeah.
That skilled people would be able to notice that happening. And the fact that she was reported missing so quickly, I'm guessing that parking lot was closed off the next morning to new people coming in to hike. So it should have been pretty well preserved.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, my guess is some.
And there was nothing mentioned anywhere about a struggle in the parking lot or anything along the trail. I mean, we got to assume the trail was probably closed off after she was reported missing. To only search personnel.
Yeah, my guess is something happened between Heedle Pass and Vesper Peak.
And they found no trace of her. Like,
yeah,
So, and it's not like people could mistake her for someone else. She was bald with a tattoo on the back of her head.
Yeah.
That's pretty distinguishable. I mean, it's not like just some random person in hiking gear. She was in a sports bra and she had a bald head.
Yep. Yeah.
You don't mistake that.
Yeah, you're not coming across many people that are like that. So
yeah, so I don't know. This is another really puzzling case. I don't know what happened. I mean, the best theory I can come up with is she fell and is under a glacier, unfortunately. So